Attention, viewers! Something monumental is brewing in West Africa. The simmering tensions between Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso are at a dangerous boiling point and have reached an unprecedented level, sparking fears of a looming conflict. The question is, how did we get here? Could this conflict explode into a full-scale war? Who is truly behind this escalating tension? What dark secrets are fueling this impending catastrophe? Let's dive into the heart of this geopolitical storm and uncover the hidden truths. The friction between Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso dates back to the power grab in Niger by General Chayani. During this turbulent period, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara aggressively pushed for military action against Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. But thanks to Russian intervention, ECOWAS hesitated, averting a potential regional war. Could Ouattara's relentless push for conflict have ulterior motives? Is the West using Ivory Coast to destabilize Burkina Faso? These concerns raise alarming questions about external influences manipulating regional dynamics for their own gain. Remember,
mineral resources, there's always Big Brother who decides. And when you fight and say, no, we are not going to do this, they use the system to stop you. It's either they set you up with the opposition and they'll be supporting the opposition against you from the back, or they cause unnecessary chaos in your country so that you are not able to even govern your own people. They will do things to make you not to be functionable. And of course, any country that don't have peace cannot develop. You have to have peace before you talk about development. I'll give you
in 2022, Burkina Faso's leader Ibrahim Traoré has been amassing military hardware, ostensibly to combat extremists. But who funds these extremists? Why did Traoré accuse Ouattara of financing terrorism in Burkina Faso? The accusations are serious, suggesting a deep and sinister plot to destabilize the region. Is there a hidden agenda at play here, with Burkina Faso caught in the crossfire of a larger geopolitical scheme? Do you know the defense ministers of both countries recently met at the border to ease tensions? Yet, despite these talks, incidents continue to strain relations. Burkinabe soldiers and civilians were arrested in Ivory Coast, and Ivorian police officers were detained in Burkina Faso. Are these arrests genuine security measures, or are they pawns in a larger political game? These incidents could be strategic moves to assert dominance and control, further fueling the fire between the two nations. Burkina Faso's government recently blocked access to the BBC and Voice of America after they aired reports accusing the army of civilian attacks. There are agitations that this move is to suppress the truth. Or is there more to the story? The media blackout raises concerns about transparency and freedom of information. Is the government trying to hide something from the public, or is it a necessary measure to protect national security? Wait, here is another angle. Alassane Ouattara's third term in office has been marred by controversy and accusations of dictatorship. Despite promising not to run again, he changed the constitution to stay in power, a sense of Ouattara so desperate to cling to his position. How does this influence the regional dynamics? Ouattara's actions have sparked violent protests and widespread unrest, calling into question the legitimacy of his rule and the stability of Ivory Coast. This isn't the first time an African nation has faced external manipulation. Remember Libya, where Western intervention led to chaos and instability? Could Burkina Faso be heading down a similar path? The parallels are striking and serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of foreign interference. Will Burkina Faso become the next victim of external forces seeking to exploit its resources and strategic position? Consider the historical context of these events.
Africa, historically, sub-Saharan Africa, has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. Okay? and Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else.
In 2020, Ouattara announced he would not run for a third term, only to reverse his decision following the death of his chosen successor. He manipulated the Constitutional Court to validate his candidacy, sparking violent protests across the country. This blatant disregard for democratic principles has destabilized Ivory Coast and heightened tensions with its neighbors. Here is the kick. The role of foreign powers in this crisis cannot be ignored. France, the former colonial ruler of many West African nations, has a long history of meddling in the region's affairs. Could France be backing Ouattara to maintain its influence in the Sahel? Traoré's pivot towards Russia and other regional military regimes suggests a deliberate move away from Western influence. This shift has significant implications for the balance of power in West Africa. The allegations of Ouattara funding extremists in Burkina Faso add another layer of complexity to this already volatile situation. If true, it would mean that the Ivorian president is actively working to destabilize his neighbor, using terrorism as a tool to achieve his political objectives. This revelation would have far-reaching consequences for regional security and international relations. The recent arrests and border incidents between the two countries highlight the fragile nature of their relationship. These actions could be interpreted as provocations, escalating the conflict and making it more difficult to achieve a peaceful resolution. The ongoing negotiations for the release of detainees are a critical test of both nations' willingness to resolve their differences through dialogue rather than violence. Burkina Faso's decision to block international media outlets reflects a broader trend of governments attempting to control the narrative and suppress dissent. While the government argues that the reports were biased and inflammatory, the move has been criticized as an attack on press freedom. This censorship raises important questions about the role of the media in conflict zones and the responsibility of governments to uphold democratic principles. Ouattara's controversial third term and the constitutional manipulation that enabled it have set a dangerous precedent for other leaders in the region. By undermining democratic norms, he has eroded public trust in the political system and fueled discontent. This erosion of democratic values is a significant factor in the current crisis and poses a long-term threat to stability in West Africa. As we delve deeper into these issues, we must also consider the broader implications for African nations struggling with similar challenges. The cycle of power grabs, foreign interference, and internal conflict has plagued many countries on the continent. Learning from these experiences is crucial to preventing a repeat of history and promoting a more stable and prosperous future for Africa. Stay tuned, stay informed, and stay engaged. The fate of a nation may depend on it. Our collective awareness and involvement can make a difference. By understanding the root causes of these conflicts and holding leaders accountable, we can contribute to a more just and peaceful world. Let's continue to question, debate, and demand answers, because the stakes are too high to ignore. Could this be the tipping point that plunges West Africa into chaos? The next few weeks and months will be critical. The world is watching. How will Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso navigate this treacherous path? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The outcome will shape the future of the entire region.
If you are still not following us, you are probably never going to see us again. But if you are, congrats. You are on a journey of discovery as we unlock the mysteries of the past.